Why would millions of people leave family and home and run off into trenches in Germany to fight in World War I? Yeah, die by the millions. Now, you would say virtue. How would a German define virtue in that case?
Your submission to civic will.
Right. And my submission to all the rest of Germany, that my sacrifice is for the life of Germany. You see, I become a civic hero by marching off to the trenches. Right. So if in Germany I can define my loyalty to the state of Germany as virtue, do you see how powerful that becomes? You don't have people running off to die in trenches because they're bored on a Sunday afternoon. You don't have it because they think they're going to make money or their family's going to be wealthy. They do it because it's their virtuous responsibility. So if you can define virtue in reference to the state and the nation, then all of a sudden I can use that, exploit it if I will, for the people's service to the state. What we're doing in Omnibus, where Omnibus looks at usually the great books series, what I'm doing is adding a historical narrative to books that they're reading. So in Omnibus 3, we're looking at 1500 to the present. And I'm trying to string together a narrative that gets them from the development of the Renaissance and Reformation all the way up to modern times, and try to show how all the ideas and historical events sort of connect together. I think one of the problems that we have in Christian thinking is that we abstract our ideas. We take ideas, really important theology ideas, or ideas about society, and we talk them as if they're abstract concepts about justice and righteousness. But the problem is that all of these ideas we have are embedded in historical moments. So if you look at righteousness or justice in say 16th century Germany, or you're looking at it, let's say, in France in the 18th century or America, each one of these contexts are very, very clunky, confusing periods. So how do those ideas matter to people when they actually had to live them out? And one of the things we do in history is we get a chance to talk about these true ideas, who Christ is, what righteousness, justice, faith, goodness is, but then say, how did it come out of these moments like the Reformation? How did it come out of these moments like the American Revolution? And then what did the messiness of that era do to those ideas? And then I want students to understand their lives are messy. So the ideas you're going to have and the important concepts you believe, you're going to have to bring into a messy time. So if you don't know where they've come out of as messy periods, then how do you know how to bring them back into the messy times of our lives? And that's why I think sort of history is important for that. Well, that's a good question. I think two things. One, the background of these students is different, so they are aware of things that oftentimes my college students are not aware of. They've done reading in. So the point that these ideas matter, these students already have sort of in their back pocket, so I can refer to them. What I'm doing in history makes sense to, I think, what they've already done. Actually, the caliber is not as different as you would think.
Right.
A lot of things I do in a college classroom I'm able to do here. I think I have to watch my pace a little bit, make sure that I can do it in a way that students can digest. One of the joys is I think that the students have not quite seen the context for a lot of these things. So they have to grapple with that, just to connect and say, oh, there's a reason why someone thought that. Like, oh, I see. And a lot of light bulbs come on when you say, look, here's the political context of Luther, and do you understand why when Luther said this? And then, like, oh, that's what he was talking about. And of course, we all teach for light bulb moments, so those do happen. But I think they happen when you have an awareness of something, and that these students sort of understand some things. There's a couple things that we need to remember. One is the truths of the gospel and the truths of Christ's kingship are not equal to our political ideas. And what's happening, I think, with a lot of us is that we see similarities between what our politics want, freedom or justice, whatever these terms matter, and then we equate what the Bible has told us about those things as if they're the same. And so Christians grow up trying to politicize their Bible or biblicize their politics. And that's obviously dangerous for so many reasons, but ultimately what it does is it waters down the truth of the scriptures and what it calls us to. And I think really, let me say the flip side of that, the second thing then is to see politics as a very important pragmatic environment. We have an opportunity to go in politics and actually do things that work. They're not always going to align with our theology, but we can make very good use of them without altering what we believe. We can go out and support a policy and a politician and a decision or a piece of legislation, because I'm not saying this is my theology at work. I'm saying this is a really good way to solve human problems. And I want to be energized about dealing with problems of poverty and morality in my community without equating those policies with what I think is true about my Christ, or saying, if the politics fail, therefore my Jesus fails. I don't want to confuse those two things. I think what we've got to give students is, one, we've got to help them protect their theology and what they believe about Christ. That's not politics. But know that their theology requires them to act pragmatically in politics. What actually works to make people's lives better, improve them, save lives in the public arena where we need to be involved, but that public arena is not the same thing as my Christ and his kingdom. Can you even get, your point, JJ, can you get a virtuous society when you've got a monarchy that governs without accountability? It creates fear in you, sure, and they can use the military, but does that actually create a virtuous populace? What we're trying to create, and this is what I want to keep this in mind, and we're going to look at this next time we look at Christian humanism, is that this only works if it does this one thing. If it creates virtue, it's successful. If it does not create virtue, it is not successful. And what we're going to ask in the early modern period is, can monarchy actually accomplish that task? I think they're going to try, but I think we're going to find out in the modern period that kings cannot. We need something new in order to do that, a new structure. If we don't have the new structure, we don't have virtue, even if we have Christian people, by the way.